Hello guys, my name is Bhupesh Asun. As I told you, I will talk about the general knowledge issues too. So, whole world is suffering because of this corona pandemic. So I should consider this topic as a very important topic for the current affairs as well as for awareness campaign. Now, my name is Bhupesh Asun. I am here to talk about the corona pandemic and aftermath of that pandemic. What is happening throughout the worldwide is this corona pandemic has already took so many lives. It has affected literally 600,000 lives throughout the world. When we are talking about 600,000 lives throughout the world, it is literally more than half a million lives has been affected. And those lives have been affected because this virus started spread from China itself, from Wuhan, and afterwards it reached Europe, it used Middle East, Asia, Iran specifically, and some Middle East countries, Italy, Spain, and USA. Right now, USA is topping the overall affected people. Literally, the 100,000 people got affected due to this pandemic. So we need to talk about this pandemic and what is so important about this pandemic. Why this pandemic is spreading so fast? Why it is taking so many lives across the world? We are talking about the 17,000 lives as per the WHO figures. My name is Bhupesh Asun and I am from Krishna Academy. I will talk about this once and for all. Now, whenever we are talking about this this coronavirus is actually the result of COVID-19. COVID-19 was the virus names given by various organizations so that actually this corona, so that it can be identified and distinguished from the normal viruses. Now this virus is very much like the SARS virus actually, which is the initial phases, it caused so many lives, and the MERS, Middle East respiratory syndromes, and SARS, as you all know. So these two viruses, whenever we are talking about these two viruses, so acute respiratory problems were actually faced by so many people at that point of time. And now this COVID-19, since the inception of and since the outbreak, actually we are talking about in December, literally in December, November, December 2019, when the people of China in the Wuhan state got affected, and infection spread so much in that particular state, and it reached to other areas of the world. Due to this, we are actually suffering. WHO has already declared it a pandemic, and it has created panic throughout the world. Now, if you are talking about that such kind of virus which has so much intensity and the problem itself, so what we can do about it? Whether we can identify the particular symptoms by which this particular virus has been spreading. Were there any symptoms which actually creating a problem? Whether we can aware about these problems? Yes, we can do so. Now, if you are talking about a particular symptom, the most common symptoms, if you are talking about this virus, the most common symptoms of COVID-19 are that is fever, tiredness, dry cough, and aches and pain, nasal congestion, runny nose, sore throat, and diarrhea. Yes. Initially, whenever we are talking about this coronavirus infection, the first thing is that you are affected in your throat. The throat got congested, and then the infection will reach to your lungs and in your bloodstream through all the parts of your body. First, whenever we are talking about this COVID-19, this virus actually has this protein which actually infect the cells of this. First, it reached to the throat. It actually attached with that mucus, and then it got secreted to various other areas, and in other infected areas, in every cell, it reaches and it just attests itself to particular cells, and then the whole metabolism of that particular cell has been affected. So right now this pandemic is created because the regeneration of that particular virus is so much on the higher side. Now these symptoms can be a mild initial phase, so there will be an incubation period. Yes, incubation period is always be there. So in the initial phase, like for the first 5 days, you will have some headaches, you will have initial fever, you will have dry cough, you will have this running nose, you will have this tiredness throughout your body, and body aches throughout your body aches will create a problem for you. Then through sneezing and coughing, you actually infecting other people too. So what is the best way scenario? If you identify that these mild symptoms are actually diagnosed by the doctor itself. If you have the fever, if you have the dry cough, if you have the problem, just go to a doctor and see yourself. That is the most easiest thing you can do. Now the second thing is, if you have these symptoms, what is the remedy of these symptoms? Is there any remedy available? No, there is no particular remedy available till now. Today's, as of I am talking on 28th March 2020, there is no particular remedy, there is no particular vaccination which can be done. But yes, symptoms can be cured, and 80% people who got affected due to this coronavirus are actually recovered from them. So there is a remedy. If we are affected due to this pandemic, what we can do is we can actually got isolated first, then we can take the proper medicines, then we can go for the first we need to see the doctor if we have infected, and if there is a test kit available to it, go for it. The second thing is, if there are problem in breathing, one should be admitted to the hospital itself, and he should self-isolation is the most important thing in corona pandemic. Third thing is, when we are talking about the virus spread and the basic measures when particular thing can be done. Now, if, as you all know, that through cough as well as through sneezing, this virus has been spreading. So what we can do is we can prevent these things. We can use masks, we can use sanitizers, we can actually wash our hands, and we should wash our fruits and vegetables whenever we are purchasing it, because so many people are actually touching those people during the transportation, during the packing. So many things has been done during this particular chain. So whenever you are getting these fruits and vegetables, first clean it and put it into a boiling water for like 10 to 15 minutes, then use it. That is the most easiest way you can do it. The third thing is, do not touch your hands to your masks, because masks are so rare in this scenario. Whole India is actually locked down because of this pandemic, because it is spreading at a very faster rate. So what we can do is we can prevent ourselves by not touching our masks. We can use those masks, and the proper disposal of that mask needs to be done. If you are not affected by this, you shouldn't use those masks. It should be given to those who actually are not affected, or some problems like high blood pressure and the diabetes. If they have this problem, we can give it to them, because they are the most vulnerable to this kind of disease, this kind of pandemic. Now the third thing, whenever we are talking about this thing, what are the protection measures for everyone? Now if we are talking about the protection measures, we can use the alcohol-based hand rub or sanitizer, or wash them with soap and water. If you have the soap, if you have the water, you can do it. You can clean it every time you are touching something, like if you are going outside and come back into your home, you can do it. So actually it can prevent this particular disease to spread. The second thing is, maintain a particular minimum distance, and that distance as per WHO and Ministry of Health and Family Welfare is minimum 3 feet. 1 meter distance can be actually maintained between you and the other people. If sneezing happens, if some person is sneezing, you can do it. That is the easiest thing. Third thing is you should avoid touching your hand, avoid touching your eyes, nose and mouth. These are the three places where actually this virus can be spread. The fourth thing is make sure your people and other people around you, like near home, they follow a good hygiene. They should follow a proper diet. They should follow a proper hygiene criteria, like wash your hands, use a sanitizer. Don't use those particular masks which have already been used. The proper disposal of that particular mask needs to be done. Every time you are using a mask and you are touching it, it gets affected. So the proper disposal needs to be done, and that needs to be taken care of. You need to burn out that particular mask if that has been used quite frequently, or if you think that it got affected due to that particular viruses, yes, go for it. Now, stay home if you are feeling unwell. Instead of going outside and infecting other people, you should stay home and alert the police or the hospital areas in a particular area where you are feeling unwell. And the last but not the least, talk about this COVID-19 as much as possible. If you have the problem, you need to talk it out. You need to talk to a particular doctor. You need to talk to other family members. You need to talk to other members of the society on the phone itself. Rather than going there, you can talk about your symptoms. They can talk to a doctor, and doctor can actually evaluate you whether you have this problem or not. Now, if you have this problem, you know that the incubation period is literally 5 to 14 days. Meaning it will take literally 5 to 14 days. I'm talking about 5 days, that is the minimum days. Incubation period, that is called incubation period. 5 days to actually the symptoms to occur or have this problem. After 5 days, that when initial phase is over, it will be till 14 days you will have this problem, this congestion, this body ache, this fever. It will continuously be there. So you need to identify those symptoms, and self-isolation is required. Go there and take as much rest as possible, take as much water as possible, and have some food, whatever food is available to you, because it will actually help your body to get proper immunity, and body actually will recover as soon as possible once you get the proper medicine of those symptoms. So that is the thing you can do. Now, if you're talking about India, in India there are some myths. Now, if you're talking about India, there are some myths like what are the myths? That antibiotics, if you take the particular antibiotic, it will heal you. No, antibiotics cannot actually work on viruses. Antibiotic works on bacteria. So if there is no bacterial infection out there, you cannot have this antibiotics. Actually, it will jeopardize your immunity, and end of the day you will be lesser immune to these kind of diseases. So antibiotics will not help. Till now, there is no particular antibiotic which will help in this scenario. Only a doctor can prescribe those antibiotics if that is required, and if there is a bacterial infection during this pandemic. The second thing is mask for everyone. No, you don't need to wear a mask, but yes, if you're going outside and if you're getting in contact with other people, the mask will actually prevent you from this kind of pandemic. So actually prevent you from this kind of disease when the viruses are available, and you will not actually directly inhale those viruses. Yes, it will help you, but not everyone need these masks and everything, because there is already a shortage of this thing. The third thing, whether this lockdown, this current lockdown, which was actually a great thing by our PM, Mr. Narendra Modi, he already asked for 15 days and 21 days lockdown period. Now, whenever he was talking about this lockdown period, but why this lockdown is required? Because other countries were not thinking it properly, and we were not actually we haven't tried these measures got affected, and that spread of that particular disease, that is corona, is quite significant. Talk about USA, talk about Italy, talk about Spain, all these European countries and other countries where this particular measures were not implemented, they are getting affected, and there is a possibility. And in some newspaper you can already think about it, and you can have already heard it, that there is a possibility that next 1 or 2 months, next stage of this pandemic, there is a possibility of 16 lakh or 1.6 million people of this corona affected infection. So if you're talking about 1.6 million people got affected due to this pandemic, so it is a very large number, and we don't have the capacity to absorb those much patients in our hospitals. And those 1.6 million people can affect so many million people. So millions of lives are already on the stake. So what we need to do is we actually need to follow this curfew, Janta curfew and lockdown as much as possible. We don't need to have this panic and just go to your particular home. Whenever you have the facilities, if you have the facilities at your home, it is good. Unless, talk to your government officials, there are helpline numbers available to you, they will help you out. But instead of just migrating from one city to other city is actually hazardous in this kind of scenario. Now talk about the figures in India today. As of we are talking about 6:15, there are 873 cases, in which 79 people have already recovered, and there are 19 deaths across India. So it is a significant number. When you're talking about the world itself, as per WHO figures, 6,859 people got affected, and 1,33,363 people are already recovered, but 27,407 people died due to this pandemic. So all we need to do is we need to understand that these measures, these preventions needs to be followed blindly. We need to actually follow them. We need to follow them, and we need to follow them because we love our life. Every life matters. Every single life matters, and government has been doing whatever in their hands. And we should make this campaign a very good campaign, and we should actually make it a success to get rid of this pandemic as soon as possible. We should learn from China itself, who have already gone through this pandemic, and they have already when they put the measures over there, and right now they have already, most of China has recovered from it. So what we need to do is follow these advices, and just follow these advices, and just follow our direction given by the authorities. Follow some simple rules. Wash your hands and do Namaste. Jai Shri Krishna.